Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of Apple TV Plus' new heist action adventure film directed by Guy Ritchie, Fountain of Youth. This film stars John Krasinski, Natalie Portman, Eiza González, and Domhnall Gleeson. This is a film that follows a pair of estranged siblings who team up to embark on a journey to find the famed Fountain of Youth. I was interested in this because being a big adventure lover, adventure films such as, of course, Indiana Jones, all of those films, and even Alan Quatermain, if you remember those movies. I'm a big adventure going, the Goonies and stuff like that. I love adventure films like this and treasure hunting films. And, we don't get a lot of them. It's been a while since we got a good one. And so I was encouraged by this. You have Guy Ritchie, who has given us some bangers back in the day, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, the two Sherlock Holmes films with Robert Downey Jr. He also directed that live action Aladdin film with Will Smith as the genie. It was all right, it was surprisingly good. But he's a very competent director. Now, with that being said, he's proven that he can switch genres. He can go from a gangster film to a comedy to a live action cartoon to a murder mystery and action adventure film. So it was kind of encouraging for him to kind of dive in this type of film. Then you have the actors in here. This is a well assembled cast. These are some very talented actors and actresses who are a part of this film. You have a screenwriter in James Vanderbilt who has written some blockbuster films in the past. And Apple TV Plus did not skimp on the budget here. This is a big budget film. And so it shocked me that it went straight to streaming. But that's what really got me to kind of pause a little bit in my excitement level, because I was like, well, if they're not confident enough to put this in theaters, should I be excited for it? And I watched it and I understood why. This really fell short, and it was disappointing. It was disappointing. To say that I didn't have that high of an expectation for it, I mean, I was looking forward to watching it per se, but I wasn't, raring like, oh man, this is going to be the movie of the summer. I wasn't to that level, but it was still disappointing because nothing worked in this movie. Absolutely nothing worked. If I had to pinpoint one good thing about it, was the action sequences. There was some exciting action sequences in this film. Aside from that, nothing else worked. This cast that consists of John Krasinski, who leads this film, and Natalie Portman, who is playing his younger sister here, they had no chemistry. And I know that, you judge chemistry in films off of, romantic relationship. That's normally the go-to to see if the chemistry works. But the chemistry doesn't work with them as brother and sister. It was off really, really bad. Natalie Portman felt like this was a paycheck movie for her. And that's sad to say, because this is an Academy Award winning actress here. But this was a clear paycheck performance by her. I mean, there was nothing there. She gave nothing to this role. Absolutely nothing. John Krasinski, God love him. I've been watching him since The Office and on from there in his career, even him graduating to a director, giving us the A Quiet Place films and whatnot. I really do like John Krasinski, and he can handle action to an extent because he was in that show Jack Ryan that was on, was it Prime Video? I enjoyed that show. At least I enjoyed the first season. The other 2 seasons, I think it was, not so much. But it wasn't him. It was just the show. but he handled that role, and I liked him in that role. I was wishing, hoping, and praying that he got more action type roles. I'm not saying Bruce Willis Die Hard roles. I just mean like a fun action type movie. Because if you watched him in Office, you know that he's funny. He can handle comedy. And I saw him in Jack Ryan, and he can handle action. So you blend the two together. You got a winner, right? Well, no, it didn't work. He was miscast in his role, even though he was funny. His character, I didn't hate his character, but it just felt like he was in a different movie. It just didn't work for me. The only character that I was enjoying in this movie, well, it was two. That's not fair. But I'll save that one for after this one. Domhnall Gleeson, who I enjoy in everything. Him and his dad, Brandon Gleeson, who was an exceptionally phenomenal actor. He passed it on to his son Donald, and he was great until the end of the movie. Until the third act of the movie, where we get a switch, and it was like, what is this? Where did this even come from? Even though I knew it was coming, but it was done so poorly. But the one character that I did enjoy was Eiza González, and I loved her. I loved her in this role because she knew the role. She stuck to the role. She was the only one that knew what movie she was in out of everybody else in this cast, and I appreciated her for that. And so if anybody walks away from this unscathed, it's her. She did a good job. It wasn't a great character by no stretch. I'm not saying, oh, look for her in Oscar season. No. I just mean for this movie, she knew what she was doing, and she did it, and I appreciated her for it. This movie had some terrible writing, man. I mean, James Vanderbilt, I know I said earlier that he's written some pretty decent movies in the past, but he's written more bad movies than good. This is the same man who gave us White House Down and Independence Day Resurgence. Yeah, he wrote those films. I don't know what the dialogue was just horrible. It was hammy. It was cheesy. It was like Chat GPT wrote this movie. Really, it was like an AI wrote this film. The dialogue was so stoic, and to his credit, John Krasinski, he gave life to what he was trying to bring. He was trying. I don't think I really expressed that when I was talking about him. But he was trying to give something to this role, to this film. It just didn't match the film, and that's why I was kind of disjointed there. But the writing didn't help him at all. It didn't help anybody at all. This was just bad writing, bad setups. It was like copy and paste type storytelling. I just didn't get it. I just did not get it at all, and did not enjoy watching it because you really couldn't get into these characters like you were hoping to. Now, the adventure itself was fun. It was some fun, adventures that probably will remind you, if you're a gamer, probably will remind you of Uncharted. I love that game. Not so much the movie, but I love the Uncharted games. One of my favorite games to ever play. And it have some elements of that in this movie, but it wasn't enough to keep it going because there was no story behind it. If it was story behind it, you probably would have got a better film out of it. Now, the twist at the end, there's a twist at the end that makes no sense. That just comes out of nowhere, and it's so, well, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it came out of nowhere. If you watched a movie ever at any point in your life, you know how movies work. You know how, there's only so many twists you can put in movies and so many ways to do it. And this movie didn't even try. It didn't even try to fool you. I would have respected it more if you would have tried, at least kiss me on the cheek. It was none of that. It was none of that. It was just, here it is. Here's the plot. Here's the MacGuffin or whatever. It was just forced. it just felt forced. The whole ending, the whole third act was forced. You know, you got team ups that happened that was out of nowhere. A surprise villain that wasn't a surprise out of nowhere. There was uh, finding finding the key to get to the Fountain of Youth was like the most complicated. Nobody could have found it. And then the clues that were left, it was like, why even leave clues? But they found out. They were able to find out, and it was it was ridiculous. I did not like how the story ultimately unfolded for this film, and you know, I'm not too mad at it because at least I didn't spend $20 in the theater to go see it, and so there's that. There's something to rejoice about. It is truly a streaming movie, you know, but for this grand of scale, for this budget, I don't know how much it costs to make this movie, but man, they spent a pretty penny. You can tell by the production value on this film. For it to go straight to streaming says a lot. And I don't know, man. I cannot recommend this movie. Even if you're bored on a Saturday, I wouldn't even recommend watching it because you will waste 2 hours of your life watching this movie. And that's another thing. It didn't need to be 2 hours long. This movie had no business being 2 hours long. They could have wrapped this up in 90 minutes. A nice, tight story. And once again, would have helped this movie a lot. But unfortunately, this is what we got to watch. Fountain of Youth, which is currently on Apple TV Plus, gets a letter grade of a D plus. Yeah, it's rather disappointing, man. For this cast, this filmmaker, and this production price tag, it should have been at least average. No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. But I would like to know, what were your thoughts of Fountain of Youth? Did you feel the same way that I felt, or you think I'm tripping? Like, man, what movie was he watching? I actually enjoyed the movie. Well, I would love to know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Fountain of Youth. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.